On today's show, we stop by Mr. Henry's in DC to check out Capitol Hill Jazz Jam.
Capitol Hill Jazz Jam is a weekly jam session for jazz musicians. Jazz Jam Session is one of the oldest traditions in the jazz music tradition.
Looking at a genre of music that is set, I would like to say, in the fields. I come from the country, I guess you could say. And you know, you get out of the field and somebody would have a washboard, somebody else would have a banjo, someone else would have a horn they fashioned. And they would get together and they would collaborate. Many of them may not have been able to read music, some may have been educated, and they got together and they were able to play. And then those people who may have been interested in doing music would then come and they'd be allowed to sit in. And their strengths within weaknesses were made stronger, and they were able to learn a little bit more from some of the seasoned players. As years have progressed and technology has advanced and education has gone forward, we've been able to keep that same concept and make players stronger, ideas stronger, even more sound through the Jazz Jam configuration. And it's been that way throughout the country, now throughout the world.
So my history with jazz began with my father introducing me to the saxophonist John Coltrane. And he would play John Coltrane's Giant Steps and My Favorite Things tapes in his car as we would ride around. So before I even started playing the saxophone, I was listening to John Coltrane and I could recite his solos. And then I started taking lessons at an after-school program called the Sitar Center for the Arts over in Adams Morgan, which was provided free lessons for children in the neighborhood.
Now I know just where I'm going, no more, not a fear. I found my way. I'm going here with me. Love came just in time. I found you just in time. You changed my lonely life. That lovely day. You changed my lonely life. That lovely day. You changed my lonely life.
I played the piano since I was 3 years old, and I sing as well. I'm a vocalist, and I've sang ever since I could talk, I believe. And those two things, I'm very grateful. If I need a therapist, I sing. My music is my therapy as well. When I'm trying to figure things out, my music helps me make up my mind, I guess you could say. But I think the piano and voice, as far as jazz is concerned, is in a unique time because jazz is evolving with hip hop and the collaborations and the fusion. It's pretty exciting to be both, and it's unique to be able to do both because if ever my band is crapping out on me, I can kick someone off an instrument and get on myself and take care of it. So it feels good to be able to do that. And so I love Jesus, but I cuss a little on stage, so that's how we make this thing happen, right?
All the jam sessions in DC exist only in Northwest. So this is the only jam session in Southeast. This is the only jam session that's run by a district resident, born and raised. So I thought that and then to find out that Roberta Flack performed here, and to know that this was a place that was promoted jazz and was protective of the black people during the 70s. It's so many layers of connection. Not to mention many of the other musicians that I've played with and other people I've talked to have all frequented this place, so they all know it. Not to mention Roberta Flack's ex-husband, I play regularly with, Steve Novosel. He's a famous jazz bass player. So it's so many connections, it's crazy.
My first apartment was a block away on 6th and D, right up the street here. And the first drink I got in Washington, D.C. was here at Mr. Henry's, downstairs. And now that they have refurbished Mr. Henry's upstairs to the grandeur in which it once had when Roberta Flack started, it's amazing to be in a place where we know for a fact that the juice is here. You know, Roberta Flack, so many other great people have come through here. It's an honor, it's a privilege to be able to carry on that tradition here at Mr. Henry's. And I do hope that this is a tradition that will go on for 50 years to go. Next year they'll celebrate 50 years. So we're hoping maybe in another 50 years I can swing back through, me and my grandchildren and great-grandchildren or so, and my walker, and get up there and sing for a 100-year anniversary. You never know. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I'm glad to be a part of it. You're going to always meet someone who says, have you heard of so-and-so? And like, no, I've never heard of them, but we know each other's faces. We never get a chance to go to each other's shows because we're always performing. So we're lucky that DC still has a strong sense of not only valuing its players, but having and allotting places like Mr. Henry's, places for us to come and to play and perform. For 5 years, I worked at the Black Fox Lounge, now defunct, which is happening to a lot of venues. So a lot of musicians who do jazz here in Washington are chomping at the bit for places to perform on a regular basis. The jazz community here, I will say, is tight. It's evolving. You have a lot of students who go to college who want to do jazz and want to do music, and they try out their wings and get their wings here in Washington, and we grow them and nurture them, and they leave and go somewhere else. Of course, jazz in DC has a deep, rich history. We're getting ready to embark upon the 11th annual DC Jazz Festival that's happening right now. This is the first day of it. However, we do have a long way to go as far as ensuring that the musicians who really who've honed their crafts in jazz have the opportunity to be able to live in the city in which they perform. Because the prices of cost of living has gone up so much here in Washington, many jazz musicians are forced to leave because they just can't afford to stay here. So it's something else, but the jazz community is strong, and we've been counted out many times. 20 years ago they said jazz was dead. 20 years before that they said jazz is dead, and jazz is going strong. And as long as I'm living, it'll be here. At least that's all I can say about it.
I think this spot is perfect because of its tradition already with showcasing musicians such as Roberta Flack. I even come to find out Clement Wells, a famous jazz piano player from DC, used to play here regularly. So just the tradition alone is great. The vibe and the energy of the staff and of the patrons is wonderful because people have a long time to be here, and not to mention the room is great because they renovated it. So it's got great carpet, and the wood panels make it an excellent room for music.
Capitol Hill is up the street. I don't know how many Congress people and their staffs are lovers of jazz. You have Pennsylvania Avenue right out here. It's a block away from the metro station. On beautiful nights, you can come out and hear the jazz from the street. I mean, it makes it the ideal place to have a successful jam session and something that helps, I believe, enrich and uplift the community, because these neighbors here now have a place they can go, and their children and their friends can be now exposed to live music and live jazz. That's a beautiful thing. So I think that's one of the keys that makes this place successful. Location, location, location. They're in the perfect location to do so.
I think places like these, they're so few and far between nowadays, not just in this city, but anywhere. I mean, you know, things change, some for the good, some for the bad, some in between, but these kind of places are still, these kind of places are still great because like I said, there are few places left that where you feel it's a family, where you feel you go in and you know everybody in the place. Most places now, you go in, you eat, the bartender says hello. It's a business, obviously, but it's also a family.
Give it up for this incredible band, everybody. Terrence Arnett, Herman Browning. Bill Peter. All right, we're going to open up the session. I'd like to invite this incredible individual to the bandstand. He's an excellent vocalist, and he came and sang a lot when I used to run music over at Shea Billy. And this guy is the true living legend of jazz. Put your hands together, everybody, for the great Herman Hawkins, otherwise known as the Hawk.
We're going to do something from the beginning to song, the A Train. I'm sure you're all familiar with it.